Welcome, everyone. Welcome, shareholders, to a lunchtime post board meeting Q&A with the directors and the management team. Uh, my name is Morgan Howard. I'm one of the directors on the board. I'm the chair of the finance committee and a communications subcommittee. I just said in Clinton my clan, Take and wanted to make sure I did a Tlingit introduction because we really want to encourage our language to be used as much as possible. And that's something we'll be talking about later in Sealaska's commitment to our languages. Tlingit, Haida, Hadkil, Tsimshian, Shimalyak. Very important to us that our languages survive. So what we have today is a 1 hour time for us to talk about things important to Sealaska, but also have time for question and answer. So the agenda for today, as it will work out, will be we'll hear from a couple speakers, but we'll break at 12:30 Alaska time to have Q&A. Following me will be one of our directors, Kil Juice, and she'll talk about what I was just hinting at, which is the Sealaska Language Fund, and give you an update there. We'll also possibly hear from Matt Carl, Director of Communications, on the shareholder participation committees, and you can get an idea of how those are going. We'll also hear from Nicole Hollingstad, who's one of our directors, and she'll talk about the Board Youth Advisory Program. We've had some changes there, and I think you'll be really interested to hear how that program is coming along. And of course, Connor Almer, which is our current Board Youth Advisor, who's doing a great job on the board, and we always make sure that we get to hear his voice because it's been very important to us. And then we'll wrap it up with Juice with some closing comments. So we just met as a board in January for our quarterly board meeting, and we hope we could do these every time, which is to have these conversations following each board meeting and kind of talk to you about what's at the top of Sealaska's work. And what continues to be at the top of our work is for us to provide profit from the operations and then directly benefit shareholders. Now, that's always been the case since Sealaska was formed, and finding ways that you, the shareholder, can benefit. I think what's changed in the past is that we've expanded those benefits. We've gone from just, I think, dividends and employment were really the first two ways that Sealaska sought benefit in the early days. Now it's a much broader reach. We have programs in place, and recently we've been able to increase them. Now, as a director, one director, the way that I think about it is I really try to weigh all those shareholders, and now we're up to 25,000, which is a wide spectrum of folks, to try to address the whole group. On one end, we definitely do have folks who are struggling, and I know that is the case. Coming off of COVID has not been easy for me and my family. Definitely, there were times of struggle. And we look at that and understand that dividends can really play an important role in providing some income that is much needed at times. And then also we look at, besides our generation, what about the next generation? And we think about this at the same time, and those are our children and grandchildren, and that's where scholarships come into play. Investing in young people comes into play. That's where saving our languages, not just saving them, though, perpetuating them. We actually want them to come back. We don't want to just keep them in the hands of a few folks that speak the language in an academic setting. Because the key to that language holds really the key to all of the wisdom that our ancestors had. Our culture is contained inside those languages. And so we'll hear more about that from Kiljuice. I don't want to take up too much time with me speaking, but it it needs to be said that when Sealaska um, makes a profit in the company, uh, a lot of the expenses for the company are those benefits I just spoke about. They come right from the bottom line. When we contribute to Sealaska Heritage Institute, that comes right from the bottom line. Uh, but we're really happy that when we do contribute, as we do to this entity, Sealaska Heritage Institute, which does all of the things I'm talking about, perpetuating our language, our culture, our arts, they take that money and in turn um, turn it over and make 10 times more. And I mean, it's a really successful entity, and we're really happy and proud of the work they've been doing. Um, so we've made great progress, but we do have to understand that we continue to provide more and more benefits, and those benefits often are expenses to the company, which is okay with us because that's fulfilling our mission. As long as we continue to grow the company, and this is a growing company, uh, as long as we continue to be on the right path, which we think we are. Uh, Sealaska is a company that's in businesses around the health of our oceans. We feel we are in the right place at the right time to not only feel good about our businesses because they align with our values, but also have those values appreciated in terms of profit, which they are, and it's on the right path. This company has a vision, is executing very well. The plan is working, and so we're happy to report that we are on track to continue to grow, continue to provide profits, and those profits continue to provide benefits. So with that, I will hand it over to our next speaker, and that is Juice. She's been on the board for almost 2.5 years now, and she herself is a language speaker. She speaks Kill.
Oh, I'm a big thank you for
and
saying that, but gaano comes
and the language of Kill, um, Juice. We have one speaker left in Alaska. Is that right?
We have one living
One
speaker,
living
that
speaker.
version that was born to speaking the language, which is actually a variation of the Northern Alaskan Haida variation, but we work it out. We work it out. She's a blessing. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's your work is very important. Go ahead.
Okay, hadala is di tau lang adlan ant di gudingai lagang. Dalang it's as eight di gudingai lagang. Dalang eight and di hangalgang. Ayat kil lang tilang ayat kilang tilang skatang dalang ant kilagang. Jahawa. And what I just said, and I am not an advanced speaker, I am a student of the language. And that's how we all refer to ourselves. I'm learning. And it's a learning journey for the rest of my life. I said, greetings, good people, my dear friends. I'm really, really, really happy to be here. And above all, I'm happy that you've come to join us, and I'm welcoming you. I'm honored with your presence. And then today we're going to learn about language. And again, I thank you guys a lot. When I was given this opportunity to speak about the language, I was really happy, and I thought, oh, how do I condense this into such a small conversation that has ever-reaching grasp? So I decided I'd do this. When we come onto this earth as human beings, we are born. That's the one sure thing we have. The other sure thing we have is that we are going to die. That's the only thing we're guaranteed. And I think about that in terms of our language. Our languages were born, these great, vast libraries of knowledge and hooking us to the environment. And they were brutally beaten down, and almost, in some cases worldwide, there has been language loss. I call it going to sleep. Our languages were sleeping. And so in realizing that, I want to bring up one Haida word today, and it's called I'll tell a little story. My dearest clan sister, Helene Simpson from Ketchikan, she said, we were laughing really hard, and she said, you know, when I was little, I thought my name was Galaga. I thought that was my Haida name. And we laugh about it, and those who speak Haida or know the word laugh about it, because Galaga means you excel in everything. It really reflects our cultural values of what we hold dearest in our hearts. She thought she was Galaga, but I'll tell you who Galaga is. Galaga is those language warriors who just refuse to give up. La Insashpushtangeng, I think so highly of all of you, and that there's too many to mention, because if you forget one, then you're going to be in trouble. But you know who you are. You've dedicated years of your lives, and there really wasn't a recognition of their value in terms of monetary, in terms of culture. And so we started having a change in that viewing. And I want to secondly say to the board of directors of Sealaska, Hawa, for your recognition of what we were able to do with some of these funds. SHI is an element of Sealaska, but the board of directors for Sealaska is so amazing, so galaga, that they decided to have a language fund, which they put money into. And this year they added another $250,000 into that fund, because it's focused on immersion. It's focused on the things that we can't wait for anymore. These people who have been in the deep dive of things. Ilscalis, Dolores Churchill, who is our Thursday night immersion lead, asked me, I talked to her yesterday, and I said, Ilscalis, what words of wisdom could you say if I'm speaking to this language, the language fund? And she said, I remember talking to Ethel Skolka on the ferry, and Ethel said to me, don't speak English to me, because someday, speak only Haida, because someday there won't be anyone else to talk to, and you're going to miss listening. And she said, I'm telling you this because I want you to ask for more ability to write curriculum to help the teachers that are coming up, especially the Haida teachers. We have a shortage of Haida teachers, to help develop curriculum, because it takes time and energy for research. And the group that I am blessed to be among are superstars. So in this journey, in this language journey, I just want to say again, thank you to Sealaska, and thank you to my fellow board of directors, and to our amazing shareholders who have told us through surveys, this is an important thing and we want you to pay attention. I think that we're very unique that way. And so I am very honored to work with a young woman named Tasha, and she is a young mother, and she has taken over the language fund, and she's made us accountable, those who write the grants and apply. She has been very loving to us and trying to help steer this ship that is different. It's very different. And so we've all taken different opportunities to use that grace that we're allowed. And so Tasha, are you online? Because I want to brag on you a little bit. I want to say that I'm very proud of, she's one example of taking one of our young people, putting them into these positions that we talk about, and here she is. She's making things better for everybody. People are paying attention to what's going on in the language, and I honor you, Tasha. I want to call you out and have you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Pill juice. I don't know if you can tell blushing hues from this part of the screen. You really humbled me, and I really have the honor of working on behalf of the language community and Sealaska in these efforts. So Ganesh for your words. It's been the professional, highlight of my whole life. So I just want to be, express my gratitude for even being put in this position. But Yak-e Wasatini, Uri Yohat Wasak, Kagwantan Ayahat. Zantakahini Yechatyati, Sealaska Corporate Communications, Iye Jachne. And I just said in Tlingit, it's a pleasure to be with you all. My Tlingit name is Wuru Yi. I'm calling in from Zantakahini, which is Juneau, Alaska. You can't tell in the background, but I'm calling in from my house in Juneau. And I am part of the corporate communications team. And we have a wonderful team, really wonderful team that's on the back end of this presentation here, kind of working the chat and the administration of this event. So I just want to give a shout out to the group that's behind a lot of these efforts that you see these events with. And I also want to say that within my role of corporate communications, I also am the program administrator for the language program that Kildus was just mentioning. And it has been an absolute joy to work with the language community. And we had just opened up our grants period as of last Friday. And you can access that if you would like through our website, sealaska.com. And you would just scroll to community and go over to language revitalization, and you'll see the application there. And as Kildus had mentioned, we had increased our funding this year from 500,000 to 750,000. And, I got to tell a little story. I walked into the boardroom with this request based on listening to the community that resources are in need and urgency is a need. I'd walk into the boardroom just really like, I'm going to ask for this money. And the expedition of the approvals of that funding, the immediacy of the approvals of that funding made me really proud to work for Sealaska. It wasn't a question. There wasn't a doubt. There was absolute buy-in, universal buy-in from the board to proceed with increasing resources for our language community. So I'm going to choose to the board for backing this effort. So yeah, I'm just really happy to be here with you, and I'm happy to talk about any of the language program and kind of have a conversation with you, Kildus.
Yeah, one of the things I was thinking about, I thought, because I get asked this a lot, and I know you do as well. It's like, well, I want to take Haida and I don't know where to do it, because I'm like, we're very busy people doing all these different things, and so I'm like, oh, I got to remember this. So I did remember it. I had Kut Hilahana, who is Emily Edenshaw. She's a PhD student. She lives here in Heidelberg. She's an amazing, amazing woman. She came over yesterday and she gave me this following list, which we will probably list out later, but I want to share this with you. At UAS right now, Skilled Jade teaches beginning and intermediate Haida. Beginning Haida is Monday, Wednesday. Intermediate is Tuesday, Thursday. But you have to register. I think that the fees are paid, but you got to register. Over in Canada, Jess Kwan, one of our Jadas over there, teaches at SFU Haida storytelling. You can join, but you got to register. Saturday mornings, it's an advanced 400 class. So you got to get in, but it's available. Outer Coast now teaching. Duck Juice teaches a lunchtime series starting on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That was just launched. Tlingit and Haida, he teaches, and I honor Tlingit and Haida for their understanding of our needs and the collaboration that we've set up. He does a lunchtime chat for Mondays and Wednesdays. Craig Tribal Association, Duck Juice teaches in the evenings on Monday and Wednesdays. And I'm going to get a little list together for you, Tosh, because I know you get asked the same things. Where is it? What is it? And the Hadass Kilkuas Foundation does a Tuesday grammar, advanced grammar. And then on Thursdays is that opening with that class with Il Scalise and Dr. Dolores Churchill. And so that I just think that's really important because sharing information is key to making these programs work and honoring all of those who teach these classes. It's been a long journey for them, and I want to honor them and the good work that they continue to do. So, and then the other question I think you've answered already is how do I make application? And then the focus of that. I think it's really critical that we point out the focus really is on perpetuating the languages, whether it's the immersion. I've heard of requests for conversational Hadkil. I'm going to put that in my mind for this coming year, conversational. And and I just wanted the world to know that we collaborate with Tlingit and Haida. We collaborate with everybody whose doors are open, and anything you have is available for teachers or students who are coming up in learning, and to reach out, because it was once a very lonely journey for our language teachers. And the last thing in closing, Tosh, is the healing framework required to make this work. We have recognized it in the Hadkil community that one of the hardest things was the healing aspects of being able to agree and disagree respectfully, and yet continue to follow and move forward. So is there anything you would like to say, Tosh, that, because you get asked, she gets asked so many questions from, you know, from all the diverse groups.
Yeah, yeah. I think you really named off a lot of the resources, and I'm really appreciative for you being in the know about what opportunities are out there. And if people want to visit sealaska.com and our language revitalization page, at the very bottom, if you scroll, we're just trying to build out resources in that section so we can make that more robust, so people are more aware of the opportunities around them and how the accessibility has really increased in the last few years. I mean, as you'd mentioned, Sealaska Heritage Institute, Gold Belt Heritage Foundation, Tlingit and Haida. I personally use the Yakutat Tlingit Tribe app on my phone, which is, you know, as I'm with my daughter in the middle of the night and I need to do something more productive than, you know, some of the things that I could be getting into, using that app on my phone has been really helpful. And Sealaska Heritage Institute also has a really great app as well. But just knowing that wherever you start in your language journey, I'm in the very beginning stages of my journey. There's so many people to encourage you and so many resources, and it can be a little bit intimidating, but knowing that you always find support as you're immersing yourself in your language and your culture. That's the only thing I've found. And pride, you find a lot of pride with that as well. So if there's anyone that's brand new like me, we're happy to put more resources on our website for you, and always email. I'm sure your email is also open to Iljus, but always email us if you have any kind of questions about access to information. And I wanted to touch really quickly on our program. So I appreciate you talking about the conversational and more immersive settings. So our program is specifically focused on increasing proficiencies of advanced to high intermediate speakers because there's not a lot of resources broadly available for that community. And there is a real sense of urgency to create more teachers. Our birth speakers are getting older, and they're such a valuable resource, but being able to create those immersive settings so our teachers can become more proficient and become advanced and really continue to perpetuate our languages is of vital importance right now. So Sealaska saw that need and wanted to dedicate resources specific to that need. And so, but we also support, you know, anywhere from beginning to advanced, but this specific program is more so tailored towards that advanced community.
Thanks, Tosh. I'm trying to check on my, it says to give me more time.
Well, I said to give you more time because I wanted to hear everything, and you all did a great job. Thank you both.
Yeah,
Thank you, Tasha and Killjuice.
Goodness,
Very important information. If you're listening, if you're watching this, know you are invited to come and try to learn your language. I'm so glad Tasha mentioned all the other entities, because we're not in this alone. We know there is a community, and not even just in this country, but especially in Canada. Hadkil, Tlingit, Shmalyak, everybody's trying and putting all their effort into this, and we're happy that we can play a role. Let's keep it moving here. I want to come up to our next speaker, which is Director Nicole Hollingstad, and she's going to talk about some great and exciting changes in the board youth advisory program here at Sealaska. Nicole, what do you think about this Board Youth Advisory Program. I think we're still the only regional corporation that has one.
Yeah, as far as I know, we are. And we are now on our 14th Board Youth Advisor. So we've had this program already clearly for 14 years. It's going strong. We are going to talk about the Board Youth Advisor position a little bit later, Morgan. But I think right now, Matt, Carl, and I have popped up on your screens to talk a little bit about the shareholder participation committees, if that's all right. We'll go ahead and move to that real quickly here. Matt, I'll do a quick check with you and make sure that we're on track with our subjects and forge ahead.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, you guys are doing a great job. It's really interesting to hear. I especially enjoyed the language update from Keel, Juice, and Tasha.
Absolutely. And Keel, just hearing those languages, it just makes my heart so happy. And looking at the chat for this event, I know it's true for everybody, who's listening in as well from all over. I just love seeing all of the places that our shareholders are joining us from. So our shareholder participation committees for Sealaska. Shareholders who are a little older might remember we had shareholder participation committees before, shareholder advisory committees. We've reinvigorated that and changed that to a participation committee to make it a much more interactive channel of communication. The real goal here is to keep hearing from our shareholders. And to that end, in 2019, we refashioned these committees and opened an application process. And we have 3 shareholder participation committees now. One is for Southeast Alaska, and that is chaired by Melissa Kukesh. We have one for Other Alaska, and that's chaired by Penny Gage. And then outside of Alaska, because very close to half of our shareholders live outside of the state, and that is chaired by Crystal Pointer. So we are very, very grateful for the shareholders who express their interest and take the time and commit their energy to meeting on a regular basis, gathering thoughts, issues, concerns, and carrying that communication forward, talking amongst their own committee members, and then sharing that with Sealaska. What you're hearing is a real opening of those avenues of communication with Sealaska. And that to me is really exciting. The most exciting part about these shareholder participation committees is just getting the inflow. I know that Sealaska right now has a survey out to our shareholders, and we normally hear from thousands of you, which is fantastic. So if you have your code, if you haven't done your survey yet, please remember to do that. But our SPCs, those participation committees, are really a wonderful way for Sealaska to stay in touch with the communities in those regions. And we're so very grateful for our shareholders who take that interest to serve on those committees. There was a first quarter SPC meeting, yesterday, Matt, if I'm correct.
Yesterday.
And maybe you can tell us a little bit more about what those committees have reported back.
Yeah, no, they're a great conduit for us to really hear and find out, to have our finger on the pulse of what's happening with our shareholders and our community. Morgan talked about the importance of community. And I think the SBC group itself are an important aspect of us trying to build relationships, a closer relationship with our shareholder base. As you mentioned, we did meet yesterday. We meet on a quarterly basis. And so that's part of the commitment when they do sign up to be an SBC member. They're committing to meeting on a quarterly basis. They're committed to meeting outside of those quarterly meetings as a group, and they're all very active. All 3 groups are really active. It's been great to see the progress that we've made over the past 4 years. All of them have been extremely valuable in providing feedback. There's 7 members per region, so a total of 21 members total. And it really does give us, there's a lot of diversity within the 21 members in terms of their age and their gender, where they live, obviously where they live because of the way that the demographic breakdown. We really do focus on trying to for as we build these agendas on the for the quarterly meetings, we work closely with the SPC chairs. We get feedback from the management team. We get feedback from the board of directors like yourself. And we really want to make sure that the time that they spend with us is valuable to them, that they're learning a lot, that there is a learning component to it. I think that we envision going forward that someday it would be great to see a SPC member become a board of director. That's really what we hope to achieve through this, give them the exposure to learn about the company, see what they're passionate about, and try to find a pathway for them to eventually sit on the board of directors. But more than anything, it's just what we're asking of them is to help tell us what's happening with what shareholders are here, what are they hearing from shareholders, and because that to us, in addition to what we received from the shareholder survey that you mentioned, the anecdotal feedback is just as important, and it's helped us shape some of the changes that we've made with regard to our Instagram. We've heard directly from some of them that they would like to see more social media activity, and so we've increased our social media activity as a response of that. But yeah, no, it's just a really unique program. I think that other ANCs have asked about it. To give credit to Siri, they were the first one to have a shareholder participation committee, and we had a chance to hear from them on lessons learned, and really thank them for helping to help provide some structure to what we're doing. But yeah, I think it's working well, and I think that with the focus that we have on it, it does require us to some energy and effort to make sure that we're doing it right. And I think the members of the participation committee appreciate that.
Well, we certainly appreciate just the thought, the consideration of things that are active in their areas that we hear back from those SPC members. Everything from economic development in the region to language revitalization to the businesses that Sealaska is in. And we do hear through those committees a lot of appreciation that Sealaska is really focusing on a healthy planet and encouraging people to to eat good high protein seafood that has a much lower carbon footprint in the world, and focusing on our ocean health companies. Many of those are involved with clean wind energy and setting those actual windmills on an ocean bed floor in a very environmentally sensitive way. And it's exciting when we get to talk about those kinds of businesses that Sealaska is in, that resonate with our shareholders. So we thank everybody for tuning in today to learn more. And I think we may be ready to move on to the next portion of our agenda.
Great, thanks, Nicole.
Which I believe is Q&A. And Matt, I think you'll be having fielded some questions from those in the chat in regards to comments and questions.
Yeah, we have a handful of questions that we received, and really want to thank those that are tuning in. Last I saw, we were past the 60 mark, so we had over 60 people tuning in from all over the country. And so the first question that we received is regarding the international internship program, which is really exciting. Credit to Kayla Roberts and Tesla Cox, who oversee our shareholder development and our internship program. And either one of Lisa or Killjuice or Nicole, either one of you could take this, or Anthony. Tell us a little bit more about this unique international internship program.
Well, I can start very quickly. Sorry, Killjuice.
No, go ahead.
Just by by adding how exciting it is, Sealaska has been expanding its internship program. There was a time when there were a handful of interns, 5 to 7 within the company, largely located in our Juneau headquarters. And over time, that program has really grown. And that's one of the benefits that Morgan mentioned earlier about our strong focus and priority on being profitable so that we can expand those benefits, opportunities, and programs back to our shareholders. So our internship program, oh my gosh, Matt, remind me, I think we had 33 interns last summer in different locations across the country. And now, because of our international seafood holdings, we are able to offer an internship abroad, which is just incredible to think about the opportunity for our youth to both learn about Sealaska's companies and have that international exposure and experience.
Yeah, there are actually two opportunities over in London this year. Anthony, I don't know if you want to add anything on the international internship opportunity.
No, not anything more than Nicole, except for the deadline is tomorrow for the majority of the applications. So it does take more work to confirm the opportunity to have interns overseas. Our HR team and our New England seafood team actually spent a year making sure they could make this happen. And the opportunities are in marketing and branding and general management. And so it's the excitement of the opportunity overseas is something that I hope is attractive to our shareholders. And we just want to continue to expand this. If we can reach 50 interns in the next few years, we will make that happen. So keep on applying. The application rate really matters. We want as many shareholders applying as are interested, and there's just such a breadth of opportunities from New Mexico to Seattle to California to Alaska to natural resource field-based internships to investment interns, accounting, a whole host. So it's an exciting time of year to see all the applicants.
Yeah. And just to add to what Anthony says, for those of you guys that are tuning in, if you guys are eligible to apply, I encourage you guys to apply. If you guys are aunties and uncles or parents out there, that if you have somebody in your household or a niece or nephew, please encourage them to apply. They did extend the deadline to Sunday. So for those of you guys that procrastinate, like my kids, just encourage them to get out there and spend some time over the weekend to fill out the application. All right, we have the next question here comes from Richard Horton. He asked about Tlingit teachers in the Anchorage area. Do they have more Tlingit teachers for the Anchorage area, and what support does Sealaska provide for teachers and teachers of other languages? I think that one thing to add, Richard, is I think I wish Joe was on here because he could probably speak to this more eloquently than I could, but we work really closely with the educational organizations in the state, the superintendent group. We work closely with the schools to make sure that there's proper representation with regard to culture. We work closely with the Alaska Native Heritage Center. They're one of the groups that we support. So especially organizations that are on the front lines of language. We work really closely with obviously the groups that we fund, but I think to his question, we place a priority on helping to make sure that our scholarship recipients, we give scholarships out to folks that are pursuing higher education in the areas of that could potentially become school teachers. And so that's a priority for us. I don't know if any of other directors, Tasha, I see you lit up your camera. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that there's also, within the past few years, the University of Alaska Southeast and I believe SHI have partnered to make these classes really, really accessible through multiple times available and virtual classes. So I've actually been taking advantage of the virtual classes. So even though there might be a teacher I'm not sure of the resources as far as a teacher located in Anchorage, but there are courses available to anyone in the Anchorage area or anyone that's interested in taking a Tlingit through UAS. And that resource we can list on our website as well.
Oh, Matt, I think you are still muted, but I'll jump in really quick just to say, as you come back, that, you know, one of the real beauties of us being in this digital age is all of the online opportunities that we have now. I remember a time when we went to community meetings or the annual meeting, and people just grabbed up the DVDs and you know, any instrument that we had for language learning. But now there are so many different platforms, and to Tasha's point, online through UAS, even, you know, the YouTube channels hosted by Sealaska and the Sealaska Heritage Institute. So many different ways for people from all reaches who are yearning to reconnect with their languages to try to hop online and do that in some way.
Great, thank you, Nicole. This next question, I think, Keel Juice or Tasha, this might be in your wheelhouse. It comes from Harold Thomas Jr. and he asked about language resources outside of Juneau, specifically for Ketchikan. Could you expand on opportunities for language learning for shareholders who live outside of Juneau?
Yeah, Matt, thank you. In Ketchikan, they have, I know there's a grant that they're working on through Tlingit and Haida, and they are, I think Harley Bell Holter took part of that job for the Hud Kill section of it. And then there's a Schmelgig teacher and a Tlingadagan teacher. And I don't know how open that is. That's one resource I can check into, I mean, for accessibility. But I do know that those are for students. And the prior question, I wasn't sure if the gentleman was asking about classes that were in the schools in Anchorage. I want to get back to that. And, or if he was talking about resources, because the resources are everywhere. Whether the language is in the schools itself is another concerted push that we all have to make, and we all have to, but anyway, I think I will check, and if he sends me his number, I'll call him, or if he calls Tosh, one of us will get back to him, because they are really, really, really good. And Skill Jade comes out of Ketchikan. She teaches the university classes, and somehow we could link him into something that's ongoing for the community. There is a lot going on, but one of the things that I'm realizing, and I have realized a lot, is that even if we're speaking Hadkil or Tlingadagan, there's really no central place for getting this type of information out. You know, there's no go-to, who do you call? So ask the right questions and we'll get you an answer. I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out for you. Get his number or something, Matt, and we'll get back to him. So thanks.
Yeah, we'll track it down.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to add, Tasha?
Yeah. We also have been partnering really closely with Ketchikan Indian community, and they have some focuses within the schools and within the region, or within the area of Ketchikan, and have some really great resources, and have been doing some incredible work down there. So I think that, you know, if you were able to reach out to them as well, they would be able to assist. And of course, always email, call our office, and we'll be able to get you those contacts.
Great, thank you guys. The next question we got is from Martha Gallagher. I recognize Martha's name. Thanks for always tuning in, Martha. She asks about contact lists for SVC members, specifically for SVC members outside. If you log into your My Sealaska account and you click on the shareholder participation link on the left-hand navigation bar, you'll see the list of all the current 21 members, and it has their Sealaska email addresses, and you can freely contact them. That's one of the responsibilities that we ask, is that they do play a role in communicating. So Martha, if you want to contact anybody or learn more about the work that they're doing, you could track it down through the My Sealaska portal. Okay, we have another question. If Keel Juice or Tasha, if you could expand on where to find language resources. We're getting quite a few questions about where to find language resources for all three languages. Can you, either of you, expand on that?
Yeah, we're starting a resources page on sealaska.com under community, and then under language revitalization, you'll see some resources there as far as SHI. Outer Coast College has some great online resources and courses that are available. The Tlingit language group. So we're going to be building out and making that more robust based off of even the information that KLG's provided this meeting. We'll be able to make that more robust, but there. And then always, if you go to that page and you want to email me directly, sometimes there is a way for us to navigate your specific need, or if you wanted to take a hybrid of an in-person or beginning, and we can kind of navigate that one-on-one. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have if you shoot me an email.
Yeah, I think that's the best bridge right there for building one solid place. I think I would just go ahead with Tosh and say, yeah, let's focus on that, because the rest of the people might not take the time to get it together like that. So that's a very good remark. And I'd also like to ask whoever asked the question, is there anything else, that you might need? Here's an example. One of our students in our classes is a PhD student. She's thinking ahead down the road on researching for certain subject matter. She has called together people that were able to maybe help her in down the road. So it's getting to know the people that are involved in the language and know that many of them are really busy, but they're always willing and very loving and helping, especially to bring a speaker to the next level. So I would like, again, just collect those names and those numbers, and then we embrace any learner. And then we have information that we have to share, but we share them with teachers or people that are PhD students or people that will be creating curriculum. So need to know what the need is, and then I could be a little more helpful or responsive, and instead of just giving you a list. So but I've got to give it to you, Tosh, because I had a hard time collecting that information. So thanks for the question.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that question might have been by Cheryl Haas, I saw in the chat, and she's in the Portland area. So I thought I'd let folks know that we are coming to the Portland area. We'll be there for a community meeting. It's been a long time with the pandemic since we've been to Portland, but we'll be there Saturday, March 4th. And so Cheryl, it looks like you live in the Portland area. Maybe we can see you then.
That wraps up the Q&A portion. Morgan, we'll throw it back to you. Thank you guys to everyone who submitted questions. If you didn't get a question asked, or if you have something that's a burning question that comes up later, feel free to reach out to me or the corporate communications team, and we'll be happy to track it down for you guys. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks to everyone. Great questions, and lots on language. Well, I could be mistaken this time, Nicole, but we are going to talk about the board youth advisory position. Please
You're
tell me.
absolutely right. Yes, we are.
Okay, which is a great program. And I see Connor. Good to see you, Connor. It's good to talk about this program, and with Connor, we have such a great participant in it. He's actually come in and changed things here. He's been integral to what you will be talking about. Go ahead and take it away.
Absolutely. And I do want to quickly introduce myself, and apologies for not doing this sooner. I'm Nicole Hollingstead, born and raised in Petersburg, Alaska. Chakla yuchat duasalk, yech ayahat, taktintan nachatseti, sakwedi yadi ayachat, and Norwegian yadi ayachat. So I'm Raven Sea Pigeon, and I'm coming into you, zooming in from the Dena'ina lands up here in Anchorage. And so excited to talk about our Board Youth Advisor program, because it's an outstanding program that, again, and you're going to be hearing this theme throughout our Q&A today, and that is, how can we be listening better to our shareholders? How can we hear those voices that have an impact on discussion and decisions made within Sealaska? And the youth advisor position is exactly that. It was created, again, 14 years ago, to both provide an avenue for a particular voice in the boardroom of youth from 18 to 25 years old. Really important group of young people that might not feel they always have a way to express their thoughts, ideas, and bring forward issues. So the youth advisor is that particular grouping. And now that we've opened enrollment to our shareholder descendants, we've welcomed, gosh, almost 2,200 more shareholders into our fold. So giving somebody the opportunity to, secondly, then have that boardroom experience, to be part of ongoing meetings, understanding the rules and the protocols that we generally run our meetings with, listening to the discussion, the issues that come before that type of a body. That is all just really incredible experience for our young people to have. This year, we have our application open, and I believe the deadline is March 27th. But this is one of the ways our current youth advisor, Connor, has impacted this program. He spent some time talking with former youth advisors, and again, there were 13 of them. One of them is now currently sitting as a director in our boardroom, Wathlal Gidak, Barbara Blake, as a former youth advisor. And Connor, through that information, made a very thoughtful request that the youth advisor actually have a longer term, and that there be a second advisor brought on board with staggered terms, so that the youth advisors can learn from one another, have each other to talk with and learn more. And I'd love to hear more from Connor about the genesis of this idea. But when you do apply for the youth advisor position this year, just be aware that we are now looking for somebody to serve in that 2-year term. Connor will be on board for his second year and will be sort of a peer mentor to the younger youth advisor. And we'll continue that going forward so that a more senior advisor can be that source of information and discussion and conversation to the younger youth advisor. And then those roles just continue on. So we're very excited about that change. And Connor, we'd love to hear more about your experience. It's my pleasure to introduce Connor Dehinok Ulmer, and let's hear more from you, Connor.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. Yeah, my name is Connor Ulmer. My Tlingit name is Dekinauk, which means little Haida. So I've always just had a real deep respect for all my Haida relatives out there. Just love them. Yeah, so I'm the current board youth advisor, and my term has now extended out until 2024. Over the past couple of months or so, being in the boardroom, it was a big shock, culture shift, change. Like, wow, this is the real thing. You're in there listening and hearing everything that the board is talking about. And one of the things that I started to realize was this is a lot of information to digest, and you have your board mentor, which is really great. I have Jody Mitchell I'm paired up with, and just been able to talk to her about anything related to the board. But one thing that I thought would be really helpful is having a peer who is my age that I can kind of lean to ask questions, because it is a little difficult to figure out, oh, am I supposed to jump in here when I want to say something, or should I wait until I'm called on? Because a lot of us have been raised in the traditional ways of you as a youth, you kind of are there to sit and listen, and you let everyone who is older than you, they are the ones who drive the discussion and everything, and you jump in when you're ready. So I was able to talk with a handful of board youth advisors about their experience and everything, and everyone has kind of said the same thing of 1 year was really fast, where it felt like you could do a whole lot more with 2 years. So that was one of my big pushes in the past few months, was extending the term out so you can really experience it all.
Well, it was just a wonderful example of presenting that proposal and that idea. And, you know, having done so much of your own homework on the issue and bringing that forward, it's just, we very much appreciate that. That is exactly what this program is for, to hear what the thoughts are among certain age groups, to make sure, again, you're hearing this theme about expanded communication. Excuse me, I have a little tickle. So thank you, Connor, for your service and for the service of all of our prior youth advisors. And we're excited for our current application process right now. And for those of you who are thinking about applying, you will have Connor, who will be there as the senior advisor, senior youth advisor, helping with questions and onboarding and directions. So thank you for giving us the time to share a little bit more about that program with you all.
And thank you, Nicole, and thank you, Connor. Great information. So we just have a few more minutes left in this hour, but I'll have a few more announcements, and then I'll hand it over to Killjuice to close up. I mentioned the Portland meeting coming up. Also, we'll have more community meetings coming up, so look for those announcements. We don't have them set up yet. Also, April 22nd in Juneau, Sealaska Heritage Institute will have a totem trail dedication. So look forward to that if you're in Juneau. Our annual meeting has been set for a location, and that's Kloak, and that will occur in June. So we look forward to that, which will be our first, in-person annual meeting in several years. Also, very exciting coming up, and there's not a lot of details yet, but definitely look to Sealaska for more details on this, and that's the Moana Anuia Kia. It's a voyage, Polynesian voyage from the Hawaiians, where they take these voyages on traditionally built canoes around the Pacific Rim, and it's really an amazing event where they are both exchanging cultures, which they'll do with us, but also teaching about something dear to us, which is why it's so important to have concern about the health of our oceans. That will occur in Juneau around early June. Look for more information on that. In regards to what we're doing here today, we're going to continue to do. So, after every board meeting, we're going to have an hour and talk to you. The next one's April 25th, which is after our board meeting, August 8th, and then November 14th will be the last one for the year. So lots going on. Make sure you always check in with the website and make sure you're signed up for the e-newsletter, and we'll keep you up to date. We got a couple of minutes left, and I'm happy to hand it off to Killjuice to close.
Hello, teacher. I wanted to share with you one word in Haida, and that before I close, and you've said all of the events coming up. So Hansi is a word, and it speaks to the reincarnation, the reflection, the picture, the mirror. And in naming the Hansinai, we talked, Kuyang and I had talked about that, and about the rebirth of our languages. And so I just want to share that because a lot of people don't know what that means, and it had such deep meaning. I also wanted to say thank you, everybody, for allowing us this opportunity. Dalan ant kil logging la in salskustangang jahawa had kil tlang skatatsin schmeldik tlang skatatsin tlinget tlang skatatsin. I'm thanking you again, and I said, let's go out there and let's learn Haida, let's learn Tsimshian, and let's learn Tlingit. Thank you, everybody. And also, last shout out is always to my fellow board of directors for having the vision to make this transformation that I feel we're coming into. And I'm so appreciative, very thankful. And thank you for spending this hour together. It's been awesome. I look forward to hearing from you, seeing you, and then having you meet the rest of our board and engaging with us. Jahawa.
I grew up speaking Tlingit. It just came natural to me. There's hardly anyone to speak Tlingit with anymore, my age. Yeah, so I'm forgetting a lot of it now. Grandma used to say, Ade kawat, akati sakwati, wasa idayaka. She said, you'll come to the age where you'll realize and hear the things I'm telling you now, and you'll think back on it, and you'll do the right things. When I realized just how precious our language and our traditions were, I would go down by Coach Johnny C. Jackson. I would take him food, soft foods that he could eat, and record him for the songs. I would get information from others how to do regalia. I don't even know if I was teaching them right, but we were doing it anyway. From there, I taught the kids the songs. We worked on the sheets. We put their crests on it with markers and took off from there. Our traditions were starting back up again, full force. We learned the rough way. It was from scratch, but we did it. Community always was there to support. They know all the songs now. They do really well. All the dancers. I know there aren't enough of us left now, you know. Like now I say I hardly have anybody to talk to. The younger people need to really get into the language. From there they learn just how precious the language is, and it just doesn't involve language. It involves learning about yourself and others. Khut atiqiqi aqaqishi qaqite. If you lose something and you go back and look for it, you will find it. Our language, our culture, our way of life, the respect for the land, respect for yourself, respect for others. It involves all those. But the young people, don't give up. Don't give up. You're here for a reason. You have a gift. Gift of speech. Gift to teach. If you know who you are, know your background, know your history, gives you more pride, makes you think more of yourself, makes you think more of your family, so you're willing to do more for yourself and for others. Each person is on their own journey, and it's up to them to learn more about themselves. Sealaska, I thank you so very much. You opened up the box that our ancestors left us for a lot of people, a lot of young people now, and people that will hear hear them through their voices. Just like that song goes. Zu hede shigochte tang. Ja, kosketa Hachi Kasajiwanak. Sealaska, I feel, has opened up this box. From there, it started growing.